Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. And let's go. This is Ballsy Uncut, episode number 92. Wherever you're watching and listening, however you're watching and listening, live or later, I do appreciate it. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube at Ballsy Uncut handle. We also have an Instagram account, and I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to check it out. Welcome to the show. I am Michael Ball, and it is my pleasure and honor to actually do this 3 times a week and have you actually search for me, find it out, and that is humbling. So I do appreciate that. And please spread the word. That's how we keep something like this going. Now, this is a podcast that's going to talk about all types of sports, but we know generally we are in the football world of things here at Ballsy Uncut, and generally in the 3-down game, although we do dabble in the 4-down game too. This Super Bowl week, we will talk about that coming up with John Ryan, the only Saskatchewan kid to ever win a Super Bowl. I don't think we talk about that enough. So he will join us on the popular segment we do generally once a week now called Kicking It with John Ryan. We will also catch up with, this podcast is dedicated to, and I've been dedicated to really promoting the Stars of Tomorrow today as it relates to football. We don't do enough cultivating that and building that from the grassroots. So I've always promoted amateur football players as they move up the ranks. And we're coming up on that time of year where we're getting ready for the CFL Combine and the Canadian College Draft. And one of the guys that we're going to watch, who is turning heads at the U Sports level, but definitely will be turning heads at the Combine and beyond, is Jackson Findlay. Great-grandfather, grandfather, Uncle Brooks, who's a friend of mine, Dad Anthony, all ties to the CFL, and now he'll try to carry on the family name. So we will do that, and we will promote Jackson Findlay and do some more of that as we head into the Canadian College Draft. The Canadian football player is the most underappreciated athlete, not only just in the amateur ranks, but coming up to professional. When we talk professional athletes, the Canadian football player is an afterthought. Oh, well, he only has a job because of a ratio. Oh, nobody cares about U Sports. Because I had posed the question with the tariffs, and hey, listen, Donald Trump's the master negotiator. He was never going to put tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Okay, he never was. But a lot of people were worked up about it. So I just lobbed the question: hey, if we were to go all Canadian, would you support the CFL? A few people said yes. Few people, though, typically, it sucks, no good, we're no good. Canada, nobody will go to the games, nobody watches U Sports, why would they go watch the CFL? Well, in fairness, that's partly the fans' fault, but it's also partly the fault of the media, because we have never made it so that these kids are big deals, that the sport is a big deal. So that's what I am aiming to do, is to promote U Sports, junior football, high school football, you name it. I'm here for it. And it's funny. Everybody thinks little Jimmy, little Timmy, little Johnny, they're going to be a professional football player or a professional women's hockey player. And they might, maybe Sarah, Sue, Michelle, they might be a professional women's hockey player. But more times than not, it's going to be that kid in high school that goes on to be a professional football player, like a Brendan Labatt, like a Brett Jones, who started late in high school. And look at this, CFL, all CFL offensive lineman, goes to the NFL, makes life-changing money. Now he's back coaching with the Rams and going in for a doctor. All because of that ratio. So I'm here to promote and get things going as it relates to talking about football in Canada. With that in mind, though, one of the guys that started, and there's been lots going on in the CFL. We'll get you up to date with the latest CFL news and talk about that coming up here. Lots of moves. In fact, free agency doesn't start until February 11th. There won't be anything to talk about next Tuesday, except that all these guys have confirmed their deals. But the latest was Nick Arbuckle signing with the Argos. Finally, they get the guy who led them to the Grey Cup back in the fold as a quarterback, and who knows, he might be starting this season where he ended the season. The starting quarterback is the Argos with Chad Kelly out with that gruesome leg injury. So we'll talk about all the CFL moves, some NFL stuff, but coming up next, this guy played RMF, played lacrosse, played some hockey, played for Sheldon, played for the Rams, played for the Bombers. No agent wanted to touch him. Couldn't even get an agent, because agents only represent people with a real legitimate shot, he was told. But he'd go on, play for the Bombers, play for the Packers, play for the Seattle Seahawks, win a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, only Saskatchewan kid to do it, play for the Rough Riders, and wrap up his illustrious career with the Elks. But now he's a business owner. He is a sports business owner. Rugby, baseball, his 2 collegiate baseball teams won championships. And he's the soccer owner, too, now of a lower tier professional soccer team. He is John Ryan, and he will join us because he's in a movie coming up about his Portland Pickles on the MLB Network. We'll talk to him about that and the Super Bowl. He won one, and he lost in devastating fashion. He knows what Super Bowl week's like. So we'll talk to him and get his predictions. Want to thank my sponsors. And we'll get to the first round here. Ward Tirecraft 101 Dudney Avenue. Michael Barth and the gang just put on a new set of skins on my vehicle, so thanks to them. Go in and say Ballsy sent you, Ballsy Uncut sent you. You get 10% off. Got a winter storm coming through Regina as I talk here live on Ballsy Uncut. Also, tires, don't have them, get them. Also, Paul Waldo, Royal LePage, getting the real estate game with the 3-time Grey Cup champ, 306-502-5355. And want to give a shout out as well to District Brewing and their Super Squeeze Seltzer, Mango Lime, Passion Fruit Lime. They got the IPA. They got the light beer. So many great products from District Brewing, 8th Avenue in Regina, but all their stuff is available in Saskatchewan liquor stores. So that's our first round of sponsors I'd like to thank. Coming up next, though, hey, and by the way, this is open if you would like to sponsor this next segment. It's Kicking It with John Ryan. It has taken off. The numbers are exploding. People like hearing from this guy. And I guess me too. Kicking It with John Ryan, our resident Super Bowl champ. He's wearing a Seahawks stuff. We'll talk about the Super Bowl in a minute. We'll talk about the movie that you're a part of coming out in a minute. But the CFL free agency starts February 11th. They've got this negotiating window, and just like the NHL trade deadline, I don't know that we'll have much to talk about come February 11th. Everybody is agreeing to deals. Edmonton is on a signing spree here, Ed Hervey. They needed to be, but I mean, they got Jake Serezna back. They got Beard back. They got Mechie, Brinkman, Robbie Smith. I mean, Kobe
Ford.
Williams today. Ford, Tyrell Ford. The list goes on and on and on. So Edmonton's signing.
I love to see it. You know, I ended my career in Edmonton. I love that organization. I think it's even better now with a private owner. I think they're going in the right direction. Ed Harvey came in there. He's doing good things, I think. They're bringing back a guy like Serezna. Protein, as we used to call him. Big protein. Just some great moves, bringing in Trey Ford's brother. I mean, I'm pumped for that organization right now.
So I did work out next to Serezna at the Brickhouse Gym in Regina here when the Argos injured players were working out before a game. Why do you, I think I know why you call him Protein, but why was he called Protein?
I think it just looked like he was always about to drink a protein shake, brother. Like it was like he was about to go down to a ring or go and fight. Come on, brother. I'm drinking a protein shake, brother. That's what he looks like all the time.
Hey,
So intense.
by the way, Ethan and I watched Royal Rumble the other day, and
Yeah.
I will tell you this, much like the WNBA is taking away from the NBA now, I think women are propping up wrestling because the men's wrestling is lame. It's lame now.
I went to the Royal Rumble in Arizona about 4 or 5 years ago, and the women were the big show.
Yeah.
They really were. And I think we're seeing that across. I mean, the Vancouver professional women's hockey team can outdraw the Vancouver Canucks now. They're the only team that sold out that arena so far this year.
It's crazy, eh?
There's professional soccer teams here, female professional soccer teams that are selling for over $100 million. I mean, the future is this women's sport. There's been an untapped market for 100 years, and finally people are kind of recognizing that these women can really play, and it's fun to watch. It's very competitive. They're playing it the right way. We don't have to bribe them like the WNBA. We don't have to bribe them for $500,000 to play in an all-star game. We don't have to make up an in-season tournament like the NBA. They literally have to make up an in-season tournament in the NBA so they would play hard because they'd get a $500,000 prize check at the end.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's embarrassing, and we don't see that on the women's side. They're playing their asses off.
It is like load management in the NBA. You know what load management is in the NHL?
Oh my God.
Zach Hyman takes a shot in the face, misses 3 shifts, puts a bubble on his face, and comes back and plays. That's load management in the NHL. Let's talk about the NBA for a second. Luka Doncic goes to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, and there's some other spare parts. Now, for people that don't watch the NBA anymore, like me, I used to be a big NBA guy, but after Kobe, after that Lakers thing, I'm done watching now. It's become real boring. But that would be like Cale Makar, 26-year-old Cale Makar going to Colorado for probably Vasilevsky, the goalie of the Tampa Lightning, who's still good, but a little older. But wow, that was a weird trade in the NBA. Doncic going to the Lakers.
It was a weird trade. I don't understand all the moving parts, but I think by trading him, they can't give him the max deal anymore.
Yeah.
But if you don't sign with the original team you played with, you can't get the max deal or whatever it is. It seems like a really disrespectful deal. I think as far as the Lakers, everyone here in town in LA where I live is pretty excited about this deal to get one of the best players in the NBA to play with LeBron James and possibly his 1 or 2, maybe 3 of his last seasons is pretty exciting. So we'll see how that figures out. But I mean the NBA. I always say when we're watching the NBA in February and the players don't care, why would I care?
Yeah. I agree.
We see guys, they're taking the days off, load management. Kawhi Leonard, I love him. He won freaking the Raptors, won Canada, our championship. Taking 25, 30 games off a year, whatever the hell it is, I can't get behind it. It disgusts me, to be honest with you.
By the way, if an American NHL team wins the Stanley Cup, do they have to pay Canada a 25% tariff for winning the Stanley Cup?
Oh, boy, don't even get me started on this, Mike. God, we could be here all damn day. Okay. Anyway, I live in the U.S. So don't throw anything at your screen right now. I'm not an American citizen. I'm an American resident. I have a green card. Yeah. But my God, I believe these Americans don't realize how much we don't really need them.
No, it is and to see some of the arrogance. Trudeau, or pardon me, Trump did push it back. I think it's more flexing muscles than anything. But back. Speaking of flexing muscles, keeping this on the right track here and away from politics. So
please.
and it's one of the reasons I don't like LeBron James because he's a little too preachy and hypocritical for my liking. But there's no denying what he's doing is incredible. At 40 years old, to play that many minutes and score that many points, like. That is crazy. Like, it's one thing for Tom Brady to do it behind an O-line, but he's not running around. This guy is banging and crashing and rebounding and running. Like, it's amazing what he's doing at that age.
It's at his age he can still take over a game.
Yeah,
you've seen some of the biggest stars in the world, in the basketball world, and they're just hanging on at the end. I remember watching Vince Carter in Atlanta when my wife was doing some work there, and he would get 5-6 minutes off the bench every game, and he was okay on the offensive. He was a liability on the defensive side. He was just hanging on. LeBron can still own a game. He can still take over a game when he wants to. It's absolutely incredible to watch. Legitimately, I feel like there's no reason why he couldn't play 5 more years. I don't know if he wants to, but there's no reason why he couldn't play 5 more years of NBA basketball and still be at the level.
Yeah. I don't know if you're a Gretzky guy. I was a Gretzky guy. That was my favorite player. So Wayne Gretzky's record's going to be broken. Ovechkin missed part of this year, and he's only 18 goals out. Do you think he does it 18 goals in 30 games, or it'll carry over to next season?
I think it'll be 2025, October, November, October 25. I don't think he's going to do it this year. I hate, as a Gretzky fan, as a Canadian, let's be honest, I hate to see that record gone. But Gretzky, admittedly, he goes, I wasn't even a goal scorer.
No, he wasn't.
I was an assist man. You know what I mean? Like, this guy has the most goals of anyone in the history of hockey, and he says he wasn't a goal scorer. Like, his overall records will never be beaten in terms of points and everything. I mean, I love the guy growing up playing for Edmonton. I just don't. I wish the record wasn't going to be broken, but it's going to be broken. And, I mean, good on him for
Okay, I want to touch on that in a second. But here's a stat I saw. Wayne Gretzky had 217 4-point games. Okay? 203 0-point games. So he had more 4-point games than he had no-point games. Can you believe it? Like, that's crazy.
When you look at these crazy stats, the only guy I can compare it to, and you as a San Diego Padre fan, is all the Tony Gwynn stats. Where they're like, so-and-so won the batting title last year and struck out 200 times. Tony Gwynn struck out 188 times in the 90s. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if they're the exact numbers, but there's stats like that the only thing I can compare to is Tony Gwynn's batting numbers, his average numbers, because the numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And obviously the game was different back then, well, admittedly, but the game's constantly evolving. And it was, I mean, growing up in the 80s and the 90s is fun watching Wayne Gretzky.
That's why you can't compare eras to eras. Like look at now all these passing stats. I think these passing stats are garbage because back in the day, you could molest a receiver down the field, for lack of a better word. You could tackle him and not get a penalty, where now you can't even touch a receiver. So it's not that hard to throw for, even though a Bears quarterback's never done it till maybe Caleb Williams. Like it's not hard to throw for 4,500 like nowadays in the NFL.
It's constantly evolving. You used to have all those numbers back in the day where a quarterback would go 12 for 20 for 140 yards and win the game. And now you're seeing these guys, Drew Brees used to do it like crazy where he would go like 44 for 52 for 400 yards and they'd lose by 10. You know what I mean? Like Phillip Rivers too for a while. I mean, it's just the game is constantly evolving, and I think some of these numbers are skewed. So that's why I always believe you can't compare eras.
Is Brad Johnson a Hall of Fame quarterback? I'm setting you up here. Is Brad Johnson a Hall of Fame quarterback? I know you, John Ryan, at the top. If it's taken you this long to think about it, you're going to say no. Yes. Okay?
Yes,
but think about this. Troy Aikman and Brad Johnson, look it up. They have the exact same stats. And Troy Aikman is a Hall of Famer and Brad Johnson isn't.
But what's the number one stat?
Sure. But Brad Johnson didn't have the team that Troy Aikman had.
I'm not going to disagree with you whatsoever, but I'm saying when those voters get in that room and they see the rings, they see the Lombardi trophies, they see the 4 Super Bowl the losses and that was Jim Kelly, my bad. But
Aikman won 3 Super Bowls, and he was around a couple of more where he could have won. So you're absolutely right. But it's like that's where I'm going with it. It's kind of crazy how we look at these stats and how all of a sudden, but we forget how these other guys, like Dan Fouts, Dan Marino, all these guys, and all the stats Dan Marino put up are ridiculous when you think about the time he played.
Here's the crazy thing with the Canadian Football League fans. When they have a poll of the worst football players in the history of the NFL, Dieter Brock rates in the top 10 almost every time. Dieter Brock, you guys, one of the greatest football players we've ever seen in Canada. I mean, he rates in one of the worst football players in the history of the NFL. And it's just your opportunities or where you are makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about, before we get to the Super Bowl, let's talk about your Portland Pickles, and there's a movie coming out here. Tell us about it.
Yes. We did a documentary about our baseball team in Portland. We have a very wacky baseball team in Portland. We do a lot of weird things.
Yep.
We blow up whales. We have guys, Evel Knievel type guys jumping over barrels in the outfield. It's a party every night, and it's a completely different party every night. We have so much fun with it. And so we made a documentary, and we had a film crew follow around our team for the last month of the season. And kind of our MO as a team, it's absolutely incredible baseball. We had 5 guys drafted in the majors last year, and we put on this crazy show, but also it's great baseball on the field. And our MO is we make it very far every year, and then we lose to a team called Corvallis, who's owned by Phil Knight, the owner of Nike.
Yeah.
So this guy, they win every freaking year. The story is we always get very far, and then we lose to them. This year, lo and behold, we have this film crew following us. We upset them in the semifinal. We go at home. We have one of the craziest crowds you've ever seen in your life. Smoke bombs going off all over the place. Crowds going crazy. We're down by 2 runs in the 9th inning, and we come back and win the game. And it's all captured on film, and it's all in this documentary. And it premieres on February 15th on the MLB Network at 1 o'clock in Regina, 1 o'clock p.m. So tune in on February 15th. I'm very proud of this, to be honest with you. We worked hard on this, and I can't believe that something that my name is on is going to be on the MLB Network. So I'm very proud of it.
I can't wait either. And will you be in this? Like, you're part of it, but will you be in this? Like, are you in it quite a bit, or a few scenes or something? Or how's that work?
I'm in a little bit. I'm more behind the scenes, but I'm definitely in it as well. There's some interviews with me and some stuff with me on there. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Can't wait, man. We're going to watch that. All right. So, and let's talk Super Bowl here. Like, I texted you after the Super Bowl, the NFL's rigged. Come on, man. You can't win 17 one score games in a row and not get a little bit of help. It seems they're like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the NFL. They always get the big calls. And this is going to be a close game, and I do not see the Kansas City Chiefs losing. They will win, Swifties. They're not going to lose.
Ballsy, can I go into this? I don't want to go on a tirade, but this is where I disagree with you a little bit. After every NFL football game, each team breaks down the film. The coaches, there's probably some management in there too. They send in every play that they think the referee's done them wrong. Every game, there's 10 to 15 calls that each team sends. So there's 20 to 30 calls both teams send in that they think they've been done wrong. NFL comes back, and usually about 50% of the plays they agree with. They say these are the plays the referees screwed up. So every single game in the NFL, there's 10 to 15, admittedly by them, blown calls. So now we're getting to the point whenever one of those calls goes in the Kansas City Chiefs' favor, we're all up in arms. Yeah. We're all up in arms. And every NFL game comes down to 2, 3, 5 plays. So if one of those plays is a penalty that was blown and it's in the favor of the Chiefs, now we're all going to conspiracy theories that the NFL's rigged. Okay. And so I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's where I'm coming from, where I think that it's a bit of a groupthink thing. Whenever the NFL, they protect their quarterbacks. They protect their star quarterbacks even more. Kansas City, admittedly, has the, questionably, whatever, has the best quarterback in the league.
They got the best quarterback, but he seems to get the most protection.
Okay, I agree with that. But I think there's also a bit of a groupthink thing. Whenever something does happen in their favor, we all say, oh, my God. And whenever something doesn't go their way, we don't notice it. Okay, so trust me, Ballsy, I'm not defending the Kansas City Chiefs. I frickin' hate them.
what was that? Was that an interception on the 3-yard line by Buffalo?
I don't know.
Okay, so if it wasn't an interception, at the very least, wasn't it incomplete? The ball hit the ground. I think you can't deny that.
Can't deny that, no.
Okay. Josh Allen, did he or did he not? So Kansas City scores a touchdown there in a tight game. Okay, 4th and 1. He has the first down. The guy up the field says he has the first down. The guy back on the other side says he doesn't have the first down. That guy comes over to mesh with the guy that says he doesn't have the first down. And somehow magically they can't find it on instant replay that Kansas City gets the ball. And Tony Romo in the broadcast goes, hey, Gene's territory, what do you think? Well, I think he got the first down, Tony. Tony goes, I think he got it too. And Jim Nantz goes, well, Kansas City's got the ball, and they go in for a touchdown. It's sickening already. It's sickening. Taylor Swift is good for business, John Ryan.
I agree with that. I can't live in a world where the NFL is rigged. You go to Las Vegas and you see all these degens betting their freaking farm on these games, and I don't think it'll ever come to a point. I don't believe it's rigged. I think that they're protecting players.
Yeah.
And they're protecting players like the stars that run this league, like Travis Kelce and Patrick McCarrs. And I think that McCarrs and Mahomes. Yeah. That's how you have to insure all of them. You have to insure all them.
I get it.
We don't have SGI here, okay? We're not protected like you guys, okay? We have Progressive. Right? We have Allstate.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that they're protecting them. And I think it was a little bit like back in the day when we saw with Tom Brady. They protected him a little bit more, and sometimes it looks a little bit skewed when you watch it on the field.
Okay, so with that in mind, how's the Super Bowl going to go? Wait, hold on. I don't want – No, because I'll leave that till the end. Okay. You've played in 2 Super Bowls. That's something that you can't – like, I know Philadelphia was there a couple of years ago, so they've got a good nucleus of their team that has that experience. But Kansas City's there now. What is it? It's 4 of the last 6 years or something stupid like that. It's basically the Kansas City. It's a home game for Kansas City on their extra game on their schedule. So I guess where I'm going with this, how much different was the first Super Bowl from the second Super Bowl in terms of what to expect and how you handle that and that type of thing?
It was so much different. It was so much different, so much more comfortable. That first Super Bowl, we didn't know what to expect. We were a very cocky, arrogant team, admittedly. We went into that game knowing we were going to win, and we absolutely stomped them. Mm-hmm. But those 2 weeks leading up to it were the 2 most stressful weeks of my entire life. It was just like we didn't know what to expect. Everything in football, we have such routines. Everything's routine. You could tell me, John, Wednesday afternoon at 1:15, where are you going to be? And I could tell you exactly where I was going to be, where I was going to be on the field even. And Super Bowl week, all bets are off. We're there for 8 days. Everything's up in the air. We're doing all this stuff we're not comfortable with. And the second year, we knew what to expect. So we were much more comfortable that second year. Obviously, we were playing the Patriots that year, and they were probably even more comfortable than us. But there is a huge advantage to having been there before. I would say that for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, Philadelphia does have a taste of it, but Kansas City is the veteran team here. So, if you're looking if you're looking at that, you give Kansas City the edge there in terms of it's just business as usual type of thing.
I give them the edge in that for sure. Even like when you look, week 18, they sat all their players, all their stars sat, and then they didn't play. They had the bye week, obviously. And then, normally I'd look at that and be like, your players aren't playing for 21 days. Like that, that's awful. Like it's not going to work. But for them, it doesn't matter. They're so comfortable. They're so confident. They've been there so many times before that doesn't matter. And they just kept on rolling. Yeah. And it's actually an advantage for them, as it should be. But a lot of teams I see, when they do something like that and they sit their players, they don't play, it's a disadvantage. But they're so experienced. They've been there so many times that they just keep on rolling. The Super Bowl is nothing to them right now. I mean, like I'm not disrespecting the Super Bowl, but I'm saying they're going in there very relaxed. They've been there so many times before. All the nucleus of that team has been there 3 years in a row. They're not nervous about it. Yeah, and it's a huge advantage.
Wouldn't it be funny if Canada cut electricity to the States right at Super Bowl time?
I was literally just talking to my wife about that, and I hope they do. I really hope they do.
I do.
I
hope they say, fuck you. Here's your tariffs.
It would be incredible. It would have been even more incredible if Detroit was in it and they just cut off all Detroit. You know what I mean? Because it's right there. But, I mean, I would love to see it, as Ballsy, as you know, was a good North End kid. I'm Team Canada all the way. So
it wouldn't be the first time the power went out in a Super Bowl.
I was actually at that game.
Were you? What was that like? What was that like?
It was crazy. I was there with I don't know if you know Ricky Kazama, Regina's finest bar manager, Ricky Kazama.
Yeah.
And all I remember is him and I just pounding Bud Lights for about 40 minutes while the lights were off. And it was a party under there. It wasn't very fun up top, but it was a party under the stands.
And Jim Harbaugh would have won the Super Bowl had that power not cut off.
I agree.
So with that in mind, before we get your prediction, let's wrap this up with your buddy Pete Carroll is back. And when you think about it, Andy Reid probably going to win his 3rd Super Bowl in a row, which is unprecedented. In fact, that'll be my prediction. Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh. Think about those coaches in the AFC West, and Harbaugh's the only one who hasn't won a Super Bowl. I think he's exactly what the Raiders need. I really do.
I could not agree with you more. I think that the actual nucleus of that team is pretty good. They got to find a quarterback.
Mm.
You got Max Crosby. I mean, that guy is a guy you can build your entire defense
But
around.
it's culture, John. It's the culture he's going to bring.
100% ballsy. And there's no one that can create culture like Pete Carroll. There's not. I can guarantee you. And I think that his sole purpose in life is to follow Harbaugh around and ruin his life. And he did it in USC, he did it in Seattle, and now he's doing it in Vegas. So
Yeah.
I think that he's just going to ruin Harbaugh's life again. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry, Ballsy. I'm sorry to say, but I think that was his purpose in life, and it's becoming very, very obvious right now.
Okay, so I don't know how good of friends you were with him and how much you talked to him. He seemed like a player's coach, so you talked to him. But, like, how does he keep his energy? He's 73 years old. How does he keep chewing the gum and going up and down the sidelines and doing all that stuff?
Pete Carroll, he has one of the worst cases of ADHD I've ever seen in my entire life. He's 73, and he has the energy and the focus of a 3-year-old. And he will admit that. He openly admits it. He goes, I have the worst case of ADHD around, but I don't want to be medicated because I love it. If you go into his office, he has 3 TVs on at all times playing 3 different shows. He can't watch one show at a time.
Really?
And so I've talked to Brian Schneider, the special teams coach, when I was there. They were there together for over a decade. And he said, if I had a fake in on Wednesday or Thursday, I had to go talk to him, and my sales pitch had to be under 20 seconds or I'd lose him.
Really?
So I had to go in there, I had to sell it to him right away, or he would start talking about the turtle on TV or the surfer or the LA Lakers. They'd completely lose him. And the guy has so much energy, and it's infectious. It really is.
How does somebody like that control a football team like that? Get him to 2 Super Bowls in a row? How does he do that?
I think that he understands his limitations and surrounds himself with people that are more focused. And I think that's another one of his abilities to do, is to surround himself with people that make up for his deficiencies. Mm-hmm. And, as I said, that the energy is so infectious that it gets into everyone. I mean, you can't go into work every morning and have a coach that's 73 years old jumping around on a stage at 8 o'clock and not feel some of that. You just do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You have a football coach on Friday. He runs the scout team offense, plays quarterback. This is not normal stuff. And when you see that, if you're 23, 24 years old, the average NFL player, you'd be like, I feel tired. How the hell can I feel tired right now when my coach is 73 years old running the offense? You know what I mean? You can't do it, and that's infectious.
So, lastly, I've never asked you this. Well, I keep saying lastly. We'll get to the prediction in a second. But I think it just popped in my memories the other day. I just saw that interception by Butler at the goal line that cost you the Super Bowl in your de facto town of Arizona, where you had a place there and you had family staying with you and everything. I know it hurts, but that was a fucking stupid call. What did they say when they came back to the locker room? Was anything said? Did he apologize to the team? Like what? You've never told me this. What did he say? What was said?
What was said is, when you work through the whole thing, you talk about a 4-minute offense. I mean, this is literally Ballsy. You just asked me a 30-minute response question there. But when you work through the whole thing, the second down or third down was going to be a passing play. It had to be, because the number one rule on a 4-minute offense to make sure all 4 downs are available to you. And because we called the timeout on that crazy Jermaine Kearse catch where we didn't know if it was a catch or not, and we called what we called buck, which was the inside draw to Marshawn to make sure they didn't challenge the play. Well, we had a 5 receiver set out there. Marshawn wasn't even on the field. We had to burn a timeout, and that's where it happened, right there. Where if we didn't have to burn that timeout, then we would have run the ball 4 times. But because we had to call that timeout, we had to make sure every down was available to us. So second or third down was going to be a passing play. I mean, I don't agree with passing the ball in the middle of the field in that situation. I've said it a million times.
How could you?
I think you throw a fade to the corner of the end zone where it's one of those plays where we catch the ball 10% of the time and it's incomplete 89% of the time, but instead we throw it in the middle of the field. And I don't want to call out the offense coordinator because I love the man. But that's what happened. And me, Ballsy, you're like me where I'm a full-on football guy. So when that interception happened, I said, okay, here we go. Now we got backed up. They're going to go hard count. We're going to get a sack. We're going to get a safety. They're going to kick off. We're going to go in to win the game again with a field goal. Unfortunately, other guys on the team didn't feel that way. We took a bunch of penalties and fighting and blah, 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 and it blew up, and it was awful, and it was a bad way to end the Super Bowl no matter what side you're on. Yeah. But, it was a painful, painful day. I mean, it was maybe the hardest way that anyone's ever lost a football game in the history of football.
Arguably, honestly,
I mean,
Brady got 2 Super Bowls that he shouldn't have got. He got that one, and he got the one where Dan Quinn and the Falcons blew it.
Yep.
That hurts.
And I mean, we could talk about this for hours. I could talk football with you for hours, Ballsy.
Yeah.
But now, that's why I'm so glad Dan Quinn got another chance in Washington, because you see what Dan Quinn could do when he puts a team together. The guy went and grabbed the quarterback that people didn't know whether or not he'd be good, and he turned him into what Jaden Daniels was this year, and you saw what happened. They were, a hair away from going to the Super Bowl, really. I mean, maybe not, maybe more than a hair, but to make it to the NFC Championship game, no one picked them for the NFC Championship game. And then you see, what's the common denominator? Dan Quinn. Great man and a great coach.
So I think I'm going to PVR the I can't, because it's shit. I was going to watch the Pickles documentary instead of the Super Bowl, because my pledge is not
No. The Pickles, February 15th.
When's the Super Bowl?
This week. We're a week after the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. I can't watch it. I would rather watch that. Can you give me an editor's copy?
Oh, I'm see what you're saying.
I don't want to watch the Super Bowl. I said to myself, I'm not watching this shit because I don't want to watch Kansas City win, get in a cheat fest. But I'm going to tell you this.
I'll send you a link. You can watch it.
Okay, thank you. But I'm going to tell you this. Cheating aside and refs in the back pocket aside, I honestly always go with the better coach, the better coordinator, and the better quarterback. And they have elite coach, coordinator in Andy Reid. They've got the elite quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and Steve Spagnuolo is the best DC. I think a little bit better than Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and Vic Fangio. So I'm going to go Chiefs as a three-peat. I don't see them getting there, not three-peating.
Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL right now. He has the best playoff receiver of all time, Travis Kelce. Who, by the way, now is doing an impression of Nick Lewis. He's a mall walker at the end of his career. He just goes to aisle 6, turns around, and somehow he gets open. That was Nick Lewis at the end. Nick Lewis is a great. Sure. Nick Lewis is a Tony
great.
Gonzalez wasn't that far off either.
No, like they mall walk. They'll just go to Reitman's, turn around Old Navy, and catch the ball by New York Fries in the food court. They got a first down. That's what it is. I love that reference. That's what it is, man. He's a mall walker.
And if you can do it, all the power to you.
Anyways, go ahead.
They have the best head coach, Andy Reid. They have the most experience, and they're going to lose by 3.
Oh, you got the
Philadelphia's going to win 31-28 because they have a sneaky good team. I mean, I'm saying this as they're in the Super Bowl right now. It shouldn't be sneaky. Saquon Barkley is the best player in the NFL right now. Jalen Hurts can do a lot of damage to a defense. This team is going to win. Philadelphia will win the Super Bowl.
Okay. If Philadelphia wins, though, I think it's going to be by more than 3. I think it'll be like 10 or 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm not against that. But I think that they could surprise a lot of people. And this is ballsy. This is the first Super Bowl I've heard about in probably 20 years where people are saying, I'm not going to watch. Yeah. I'm going to watch for the commercials. I'm not going to watch. I'm really interested to see what the ratings are come Monday morning.
I don't think they haven't been. The NFL playoff ratings haven't been as good because people are cheap out.
The NFL has never been better. But people are sick of this shit right now.
Yeah, they're cheaped out.
They're sick. Balls. I'm going to tell you, I love Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie. Okay, I love this. I wish they'd have a camera on her all game. I really, Ballsy, raise your head when you're looking at me. I wish they would have a camera on her all game because I love it. I want to see what Mama Kelsey thinks. I want to see what Taylor thinks about every play, Ballsy. And I hope they fucking lose.
I can't stand. I cannot stand. Like, listen, she's talented and all that. That's not I just can't. I'm done with it. I'm so over
I love it, Ball. You got to hear my wife's. Every once in a while, my wife goes on a rant. Very jokingly, she's a comedian, about how she was the original Taylor Swift in the NFL. Going after
yes, I would. I believe. I was just going to say that I would rather watch your wife 40 times than Taylor Swift. Like
most people would, because she's hilarious.
I do. Yeah. I know that's crazy. Okay, man. Well, we'll once again give us a plug for the documentary on the Major League Baseball Network there.
MLB Network. It'll be on at 1 p.m. February 15th in Regina. Check it out. It's called Pickles, Pickles, Pickles. It's just the story of a great little baseball team in Portland.
And if I'm going to watch a Super Bowl, I'm going to be pickled because I don't want to see the Chiefs. Take care, bro. See ya.
All right, buddy.
That's John Ryan. Great guy. Joining us every week, Kicking It with John Ryan. If you'd like to sponsor it, we got a whole package together, and we'll talk to you about it. Get in now. You can get yourself a deal here. Sponsoring that segment, Kicking It with John Ryan, Super Bowl champ, former CFLer, Sheldon Williams, Spartan player. I want to clear up some things. Yes, that was a devastating loss, John Ryan, in the Super Bowl. No doubt about it. Big world stage, where the CFL is not on a world stage. But I don't think that's the most devastating loss in football history. It would be the 13th man Grey Cup. Nothing touches that. Riders won the game. They had the game won, and then they lost. It went from like a wedding celebratory mood to a funeral like that. So that would be close, though. John's Super Bowl loss on that goal line interception by Malcolm Butler. Now this, we were talking about Gretzky and Ovechkin, John and I. This, I think, comes from my buddy Darren Caesar Bradley. I think I saw him post it, but I totally agree. So Ovechkin, what is he? Last I heard, going into tonight's action, it's 18 from breaking Gretzky's record. He's got to get 18 in like 30 games. I think it would be great, as Caesar suggested. It would be ultimate. He'd get so much respect and adulation if he got to Gretzky's record and retired before breaking it. Do you know? It's kind of like kneeling down on the 1 yard line. We could smoke you, but we're not going to. I could win. I could win even worse, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to take a knee here. Everybody know you could break the record, but you didn't, and it would pay homage to the greatest player of all time, Wayne Gretzky. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool from Caesar, and I totally agree. What do you think? Ovechkin retiring when he ties Gretzky, not beats him. That would be the ultimate, like, WWE, WCW swerve, like the NWO. I think that would be the NHL's NWO, or version of the NWO. Ovi retires, tying Gretzky for all-time goal mark. That'd be cool. It won't happen, though. He'll want the record. And, the third thing I was going to bring up. Oh, Pat Riley. So I disagree, John Ryan. The NFL is rigged. They've had to have been in negotiations for a while, but it's just come to light. So Pat Riley, back in the day, he trademarked three-peat. He trademarked the three-peat. So it can't be used like for any memorabilia or anything like that. So the NFL, he sold the trademark to the NFL for I'm hearing around $2 million so that they could get the three-peat stuff printed up in case Kansas City wins. In case Kansas City wins. Yeah, we got to have it ready in case the Chiefs win. And they would have had to have this in play, not just yesterday or 2 days ago. They would have had this negotiations going for a while now. So somewhere around November, they're like, okay, the script's rounding into form, and Kansas City's going to get all the calls, and we'll have them win 17 one-score games, and we'll get them into the Super Bowl, and we'll have the three-peat. We got to get a hold of Pat Riley. No way this is rigged. No way. So that's pretty neat. Pat Riley comes up with a slogan. I know Jim Nantz was calling it Chief Pete. He probably should trademark that. He should call it the Chief Pete. He'd probably make some money like Pat Riley. I always like Pat Riley. Good dresser, great coach for the Lakers. Not so much when he went to Miami, but hey, smart guy selling three-peat to the NFL. Okay, we'll talk some CFL here. Lots going on in the world of the Canadian Football League. Just ahead of our talk with one of the prospects coming into the league, Jackson Findlay. Tiger Cats have agreed to terms with star receiver Kenny Lawler. Barring anything unforeseen, he'll join the Tiger Cats on a 2-year contract worth approximately $275,000 a season. Now, that looks good for 2 seasons, but the way players get cut before bonuses and everything, it's probably just a 1-year deal when you think about it, but that's still big money for Kenny Lawler going to Hamilton, who also added his old Bomber teammate Drew Wolotarski the other day. The Red Blacks have agreed to terms with all CFL receiver Eugene Lewis. So Gino, who was on this show a couple of episodes ago, and you can check it out on X, Facebook, and YouTube, or on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. He was on just after Ed Hervey said, "I'm not signing you," because Ed signed everybody else under the sun. So Gino is in Ottawa. Stampeders have agreed to terms on a contract with veteran receiver Tevin Jones, also a friend of mine and this podcast. The 6'1", 225-pound native of Missouri had 40 catches, 731 yards, and he had 6 touchdowns for the Elks last season. So he joins Calgary. Stampeders have also signed Dominique Rhymes. 6'4", 215-pound target was cut by Ottawa, so they could make room, obviously, for Gino Lewis. 72 grabs for over 1,000 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2024. He was due to make $225,000 in hard money this year prior to his release. So there you go. That's why I'm saying don't believe everything you see on paper as it relates to contracts. That's a great signing for Calgary. VA and Dominic Rhymes had a nice connection in BC a while ago. So they're reunited in Calgary. Speaking of the Stamps, they lose quarterback Tommy Stevens, the 6'5", 245-pound passer. I say that lightly, is an excellent short yardage quarterback. He's burned the Riders on more than a few occasions. Well, the Riders said enough of that. They have signed him to a contract. The Indianapolis, Indiana product has completed just 11 passes on 20 attempts for 82 yards and 1 touchdown in his career. So he'll be the 3rd quarterback. Jake Mayer, the 2nd quarterback, old Stampeder teammates. And the quarterback, of course, is Trevor Harris for the Riders, the starter. The Riders have signed Canadian receiver Tommy Neal, who was recently released by the Toronto Argonauts. Neal joins an already stacked receiving core, although I have to look at the free agency. I think Mitch Picton's a free agent, the local kid, so I wonder if that's a commentary on re-signing him. I don't think they've re-signed him yet, if he is a free agent. Anyway, Mitch Picton, if he isn't, will be re-signed. That's one that's kind of eluding me right now, but he is Mr. Everything for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in terms of knowing the playbook and being a great leader. Not flashy, but he gets it done. Josh Haggerty, former Campbell Tartan U of S Husky, Toronto Argonaut Grey Cup champ, played for Edmonton last year after being released and brought back, and played the rest of the year when Scott Hutter went down, has signed a free agent deal with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So congratulations to my old teammate Jeff Haggerty, Tammy, his wife, their kid, Josh Haggerty, signing in Winnipeg. Congratulations, Josh. And the Blue Bombers have promoted Jason Hogan to OC and hired Jarius Jackson as their quarterback's coach. Hogan was the team's RB coach over the past 3 years, helping Brady Oliveira rush for 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Veteran receiver Jalen Acklin is retired from the CFL at the age of 29. He had that real big collision and was hurt, had to be helped off the field, laid motionless on the field for a while. I forget what game that was in, but he did come back, but is now retiring at the age of 29. It's a short window for an athlete. Told my son that school's very important. So even if you're lucky enough to make the CFL this year, you might have 5-6 year window and then she's all over. So great career from Jalen Acklin. And Nick Arbuckle, as I said, before we heard from John Ryan, has signed with the Toronto Argonauts, so he is back and may start the season where he ended off as the starting quarterback for that team, depending on how fast Chad Kelly recovers from that gruesome leg injury that he suffered in the East Final against Montreal. The Combine for the CFL Canadian College Draft goes down in Regina, the heartland of football, March 19th through the 23rd. The Thursday, they just have... they sign up. Friday, they got all the weight lifting, 40-yard dash, vertical, all those type of testing. Then 2 days on the field. I guess it's the 20th to the 23rd. So, and it's open to the public from what I've been told, talking to a couple of people that are in the know. So you can go watch it. I know where I'll be. I'll be watching that for sure. One of the guys I'm going to be watching is a Jackson Findlay. That name rings a bell. His dad, Anthony, played a little bit with the Rough Riders in 95. Brooks, his uncle, a friend of mine, played for the Riders and the BC Lions. His grandfather and great-grandfather also ties to professional football. So we're going to hear from Jackson Findlay of the Western Mustangs, North Van Boy, on the show. Want to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors. If you got some money and you're in it for these services, please spend it on these businesses. Gerhard Studios, Nicole and Dean, for your social media, website design and maintenance, and still photography. Check out Gerhard Studios. Also, Boys Next Door window cleaning, and our friends there, Nathan and Landon. And I got to give a shout out to also Hammer Time Roofing in Saskatoon, 262 Roof. I just went to the freshly pressed printing shop, and my shirts will be done here in 1 week. The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show shirts, and we will get them out. And I think I'm going to give the first batch of them out. And then the rest maybe I'll sell for charity, because that's what we like to do, help people out here. You know what? Actually, that's exactly what I'm going to do. It just struck me. Here's what I'm going to do. The shirts will be available. All money raised goes to Glenn Love, who was on the show. So Glenn Love, who is battling ALS. You want a shirt? I'll give part of the proceeds. The rest will go to print more shirts. But the actual profits will go to Glenn Love for his ALS cause. That's what we're going to do. Hit me up, direct message me, or comment if you would like a shirt. That's what we're going to do. The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show shirts for Glenn Love, a CFLer who's battling ALS. And an American. So that's my way to help out a guy and smooth things over in our world of division between the U.S. and Canada with people booing anthems and such. All right, Jackson Findlay's up next. Well, if you're a CFL fan, you're going to get to know this name. Jackson Findlay is one of the top prospects headed into the Canadian college draft from Western University, but he's a BC boy. Findlay, that name rings a bell. It should. His great-grandfather had, time in professional football. His grandfather, CFL. His uncle, Brooks Findlay, who I've been with on the radio in the past and also covered his career. And also your dad, briefly in 1995, Anthony Findlay. So, Jackson, how much pressure's on you to carry that Findlay name in the world of football?
I think of it more like an honor and opportunity to continue that, because I think that's something that a lot of it doesn't come by very often, that something like as high achieving as professional sports would be a family, be passed down through generations. So I'm super excited to have been given this opportunity, and can't wait for the next steps in the process.
What's been your best football moment at this point? If you had to pull out one football moment, maybe a play in a game or a situation, like I look at you here, first team All-Canadian, OUA President's Trophy, 21 Vanier Cup, 3-time Yates Cup, athlete student council pres, medical student. So just talk to me about what, in terms of football, what's your favorite football memory?
Yeah, I think my favorite football memories come from university. So there's a lot to pick from, but if I had to pick a moment, it would be winning the 2023 Yates Cup. That year we fought a lot of adversity as a team, and we were kind of the underdogs in the playoffs, and that's not something that Western usually faces. So coming the victory in 2023 was an amazing feeling. But with regards to a single play, I think when we played Queens and big point in the game, they're driving. I end up getting a 90-something yard pick six right at the new Lang Pavilion, I think it was called. They got their brand new stadium at the end, and all the fans are yelling at me and spiked the ball in their face. So that was an amazing feeling. Yeah.
What's that like when you're running a 90-yard pick back? Is the adrenaline taking over? Are you running out of gas at the end? Are you peeking behind you? What is that like? Take me into your cleats.
So definitely not running out of gas in that moment. I think I could have run 3 more football fields if I needed to, but yeah, it's one of those things that you don't really expect, especially in university football where the competition's so high, to get many of those opportunities. So it didn't really feel real. I thought, like, is there a flag? Is there something like wrong with the play, like calling back? But I got there and my bench was loud and I was pumped up. So one of those things is kind of in the moment, and that feeling has lasted and probably will last for the rest of my life. So.
Hey, you played against this Elgersma kid who was down at the Senior Bowl. Can you just, from being on the other side of the ball from him, just tell us what kind of talent this kid has?
Yeah, he's an outstanding talent. I mean, that's kind of been put on display with his multiple showcases and over this past season. And yeah, throughout the years, I have a lot of respect for him. He has respect for me, and it's kind of been like, it almost feels like he's watching me during when we play and that stuff. So it's been a cool relationship that I have with him, a nice rivalry, and he's an outstanding player. I know he's gonna do very well wherever he ends up. I hope he ends up somewhere in the States, because I think it's bringing a lot of positive media to Canadian football, and that's good for all Canadian athletes. So super pumped for him and what he's doing, and really hope that he continues his success, and maybe one day we'll continue to compete against each other. So yeah, super excited for him, and really creating some awesome opportunities for the future of Canadian football.
So you're showcasing for the CFL, but you do know if you get really good combine numbers, all of a sudden the NFL starts looking. What's your mindset going into this combine here in Regina in March?
Yeah, so my mindset is that I'm going to put up the best numbers that I have put up. I'm very confident in that, and I'm going to be peaking at that point. So I know that as long as I stick to the prep that I'm doing, that I will be performing at my best, and those high pressure moments are my favorite. So I'm really looking forward to it, and to get some eyes down south is really awesome, but really it's kind of a me versus me thing for that combine. Just get my personal best is my goal, and at all the events, and then go on from there.
So athletically here, what does it look like for you training for this? Like what kind of preparation are you undergoing right now?
Yeah, so doing stuff in the gym, obviously. A lot of speed-specific stuff. We go on indoor track here at Western, using that, and also using an indoor field downtown. So combine-specific stuff, just football-specific stuff, and then a lot of top-end speed and power training for sure.
How much has your dad helped you? Because he has that background, Anthony. He's into the training side of things and that type of stuff.
Yeah, he's been training high performance athletes, Olympians, professional athletes for probably longer than I've been born. So yeah, he's probably the biggest part in my training up to that point, and trusting what he's telling me to do, and he's got a great program for me that's gonna put me in the best position to perform well at the combine. So just working with him, working with what he does, and I'm super lucky to have a father that not only cares that much about me, but is able to do these special things for me to prepare.
So BC boy goes to Ontario. You're going there for the medical sciences school, but how much do you like the fact you can FaceTime your family? That's a lot of provinces, man, between families. How tough has that been, and how much has technology helped you get through? It's not easy being a student athlete, especially going where you want to go.
Yeah, being a student athlete, it's very difficult. There's a huge time commitment. There's pressure on you to perform on the field and in the classroom and all that. So there's that side of it. And my family's been great. They've been very supportive. It is far, but they've tried to come out to at least a couple games every year. And I try and keep in touch as much as I can through FaceTime. FaceTime's great. But yeah, they've been great in coming out and supporting me and making sure that I don't feel like I'm stranded out here. And another side of that is that I got great teammates and great friends that were giving me a home away from home. So I'm welcome into their families and their holidays and all that stuff. So I got that as well with my family, which is really amazing.
All right. So tell the folks what you want to be. You're in medical sciences there, but what's your end goal? Because football ends for everybody, no matter how good you are or how young you are, it ends for everybody. So what do you want to do when football's done?
Yeah, so once football's over, hoping to pursue medical school in Canada. Ideally, would be amazing, and through that, hoping to go into oncology, perhaps pediatrics as well. I'm currently studying biochem and cancer biology as my specialization. So the whole cancer side of things has been really intriguing and impactful to me, and that's something that I hope I can pursue after football. And yeah, that pediatric side as well has been a big motivator towards that, and I have kind of discovered my passion in that through coaching and volunteering and other things that I do, for sure.
So we'll get into the volunteering in a second, but I hear you rattle off everything you're studying there. I would assume a playbook is pretty elementary compared to what you're studying away from the football field.
Yeah, I mean, our playbook here is anything but elementary. Gleason does a great job in preparing us, our defensive coordinator, and there's a big onus on the free safety in this program for sure. So a lot on me, but yeah, that transition from BC to Ontario is tough. I was playing American football in high school, so you come here, there's waggling, there's extra mans, all these motions. So that was kind of a learning curve with regards to the playbook, and then after that first year, it all started to click, and then from there, it's less mental and more physical once you know kind of your job and those around you. So
let me ask you this: do you? Because I've talked to other people about this, but you're just getting out of playing that. I don't know how to phrase this. Should we be playing Canadian football in BC? Like, shouldn't we be playing the Canadian game in British Columbia, Canada, in the high school?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's pros and cons for both American and Canadian football. American football, you have one less guy, you have a totally different scheme. There's one less DB on the field usually for defenses. Motions are different, but it's a much quicker game as well. Not as much special teams, so totally different game. And I love Canadian football. I've grown to fall in love with playing it and studying it and the film and all that. So I wouldn't say that one is way better than the other. They're both amazing in their own rights. But yeah, I'd definitely like to see BC playing some Canadian football and maybe in high school having some sort of national championship or something like that. I know my high school has been doing really well recently, but my buddies in Ontario are still saying their high schools will whoop mine, and I disagree, but there's no way of proving that. So if they played Canadian football, maybe there would be a way to have some sort of unified championship. But it's a great time.
You're a big guy. You remind a lot of people of Taylor Loeffler, who used to play out of UBC, went to the CFL. Now I see you listed as 6'3", 200 and some pounds, but your uncle Brooks, he's really proud of you. He said, no, I think he got a growth spurt. I think he's 6'4". So just tell us your dimensions and tell people who haven't watched you play, because I think that's what we do a poor job of. We don't promote young guys coming through the college ranks like they do in the States. Very poor job. I try to do it, but not a lot of people try to do it. Man, I look short next to you here. What the heck? You're really making me insecure, Jackson. Anyway, tell people how maybe you are 6'4", or I'm shrinking. Tell me, or tell the folks how you play. Like, what's your game about?
Yeah, so I wish I was 6'4". I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I like to think that I'm a rangy safety. I can play with the Canadian field on both sidelines, especially between the hashes. So that's one of my strong suits. But I also love getting in the box. So I can play deep. I can play in man coverage, and I can play the run. So that's something that I think is one of my strengths, is my versatility. And and ability to kind of fit different aspects of the game. And yeah, I've played a couple positions here at Western. I've played boundary half, which is essentially our next linebacker in some schemes, and a lot of blitzing and in box and stuff like that. And then our free safety is often deep and crashing down and stuff like that.
So tell us about your volunteer. You're a big volunteer guy, and you've been a volunteer guy your whole life. How'd you get into it? What do you do now for volunteer work, and what do you like about it?
Yeah, so to start, I think my family has definitely been a huge part of why I love to volunteer. My dad's my mom and dad are both very big philanthropists. They like to give back to the local community, especially through the business. So they'll train certain athletes. They'll donate to the Handsworth football team, or the high school, and some other football teams around the province, especially North Van. Yeah, they love to give back. And even my dad, he owns a gym and is a very high performance strength coach. And his job is to make these young athletes better and their best. So that in itself is a sense of giving back. And through that, I went to Vancouver College, all boys Catholic, but volunteering is very important there. So that was instilled in me there as well. So that combination kind of took me through to university, and there I started to get an urge to get involved in the community. It's always nice to give back to what's been given to you, whether that be football or whether that be just the great opportunities for school and that stuff. So with regards to my volunteer work, I am the president this year of the Athlete Student Council. The year before, I was the VP of the Boys and Girls Club, which is kind of a role that brings other student athletes into the Boys and Girls Club and kind of help build relationships and help out with their after school program. And yeah, that's been awesome. But we've also done a lot of other different volunteer initiatives through the Student Council. I also coach our women's flag football team here at Western. They're currently three-peat champs for their 5v5 and 11v11 seasons. So they're great. Those girls are really cool. It's definitely a growing sport for sure. So being a part of that has been really amazing. We have a new initiative here at Western, a mental health wellness lead, where each team has a representative, a mental health representative for the team, so that student athletes can kind of go through them if they want, instead of feeling pressured to go see maybe a professional or a coach right away. So that's a really cool new initiative that I'm lucky enough to be a part of. And then, yeah, back home, I do some volunteering there, Challenger Baseball, which is some kids. And yeah, I think the major theme is giving back to the community, and with that as well, helping out with some kids, some coaching as well back home. But yeah, it's really rewarding. I think it's been amazing, the opportunities that I've been provided here at Western, and just being able to show that to other people. And I have 100 and something guys on my team, and if I can inspire a few of them to want to give back, then it's worth it.
You led me into my second last question. I've talked to other guys about this. We're in a divided world, maybe more so than ever, unfortunately. It's black and white, it's left and right, it's Catholic or whatever. You know what I mean? It's so divided. Unity doesn't seem to be a word right now. But the one thing about sports or football that I've always wished we could do is take what's behind the locker room and bring it out into society. Do you find that too? It doesn't matter what religion you are, what skin color you are, if you had a dad, if you didn't have a dad, what kind of music you listen to. That Saturday, I guess for you, that Saturday or Friday night, when you put on the jersey, the Western Mustangs jersey, that's what you are. You're not a Democrat, you're not a conservative, a liberal, you're a Western Mustang. I wish we could take that into the world.
Absolutely. I think football, it creates a culture that's like nothing other, and like you said, you just wish you could bottle it up and bring it to every aspect of your life. And in a sense, that's doing that in little bits is what, like little bits of volunteering and stuff, and helping out, mentoring your teammates and friends and people outside of football, and all of that adds a little bit to that culture. And I think Western, we have a great culture here. very accepting of people from all walks of life, and a bunch of great people. They're all great football players, but they're great people. And I came to Western without really any high school friends. I came here kind of clean slate, and within a week, I have guys that I'm best friends with to this day. And there might be like a transfer that comes in late. He's in his 4th or 5th year. Boom, he fits in right away. He creates lifelong friends. It's not like any other sport. I think it's not like any other thing in society. It's so amazing, and to just be able to share a bit of that, whether that be through my experiences or my actions to other people around me, is really important.
Yeah, that's awesome. And listen, your uncle was bragging you up, saying like you were a top shelf dude, and I'm absolutely sold. But I ask other guys this who have had on before that are draft eligible. So I'm going to ask you this. You're sitting in a room with me as the general manager and the coach of a CFL team, because you're going to get interviewed. Jackson, why should I spend some draft capital on you? Why should I pick you to be a part of my organization?
Yeah, so not only do I think I can contribute on the field right away, whether that be on special teams and defense, and I got the physical attributes and all that, but I think that beyond that, I'm a smart football player, so I can learn a playbook easy. I'm a hard worker. I can push others around me. I can lift them up to another level. And yeah, I think that I'm able to put myself in other people's shoes and understand where they're coming from, and really try and grow the culture of the team. And wherever I've gone, I've had success in fitting in their culture and being able to grow it. And I think I can do the same with any CFL team that I'm picked to.
I can't wait to see where you end up, man. Looking forward to watching Jackson Findlay run around a Canadian Football League field. Thanks for your time, man. Best of luck with your studies. And I'll be seeing you in Regina here with my own eyeballs. So good luck there, too.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Jackson Findlay for joining us here on Ballsy Uncut. Appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing where he goes. He'll probably, off the top of my head, be the first safety taken. Boscheman's a pretty big one, too, out of Calgary. Defensive Player of the Year. And so I think Defensive Player of the Year in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. So Boscheman will be big coming out of Calgary. Findlay, and we'll see where the rest of the 10 defensive backs go. Delaney Robinson, a highly touted one from the Rams on the corner. So, yeah, can't wait for the Canadian Combine here for the draft coming up in March. And I'll be cheering for Team Ball, but looking forward to watching Findlay, too. Looking real good. And I'm sold. Good character kid. A great addition to any team. So lots going on the CFL. You can, it's ever changing, man. I just want to see if there's any other updates. Last I saw, Nick Arbuckle re-signed in Toronto, and that's about all I can tell you that's new. Josh Haggerty leaving Edmonton for Winnipeg. Dominic Rhymes in Calgary now, leaving Ottawa. Eugene Lewis goes to Ottawa from Edmonton. Kenny Lawler goes to Hamilton from Winnipeg. There's lots going on. There won't be nothing to talk about on Free Agent Tuesday next week, 1 week from now. But there's something that's still crazy, man. We don't have a commissioner. I haven't heard anything about a commissioner. I haven't heard any speculation on names about a commissioner. Like, we need a commissioner. This isn't a liberal government where we're trying to hold power, proroguing the parliament and getting into tariff squabbles. By the way, people are all upset about a 25% tariff from Donald Trump, which he's never going to impose. He's just trying to, it's the art of the deal. He's flexing his muscles. He's trying to, and hey, is he a dink? Is he a narcissist? Sure. But he's doing what he said he was going to do, which you can't deny. But we got a guy who's held up parliament so his party can pick a new leader and dragging it out. I'm talking about Trudeau, and we're all upset about a 25% tariff, but we're not upset about the 20% carbon tax hike coming up in April by our own government in our own country. And now you got the Quebec premier saying, oh, everybody needs to work together. Yeah, bullshit. You don't want to work with the rest of Canada. In fact, if I had my way, pay your debt and leave the fucking country. Start your own country. Go to the States. See how long that lasts with Trump. It ain't going to last that long. Okay. So, and the way things are going, I'm not lying. I'm Canadian. I like Canada. I like to stay in Canada, contrary to what some former over-the-hill CBC reporter thinks. But I'm going to tell you something right now. This is when Saskatchewan and Alberta should jump on it and say, hey, maybe we're going to talk to Donald Trump. Maybe we'll think about separating ourselves, because we're the ones floating the boat for the rest of the country. BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan not getting equalization payments. Always floating the boat for the East. So anyway, we got the Liberals trying to hold on to power. We don't have that same thing in the CFL. Let's get a freaking commissioner already. Who's in? Who's going to be the guy? We need a progressive man or woman to lead this league, and let's get going. Let's get some expansion going. Let's get some streaming going. Let's get a broadcast competitive partner for TSN. Hey, TSN's done a great job. They help save the league, but competition is good. That's troubling to me. Are we ever going to get a commissioner? Randy's still our commissioner. Really? What kind of decisions is he making? He's like a lame duck coach on the last year of a deal. Get me a damn commissioner. Don't look now. But so is Randy Ambrosie. So wait a minute. Is Randy Ambrosie the guy that's going to stand at the cheesy podium with the big screen TV in the back, which is a joke in itself, and give me the picks in April? Is it going to be Randy Ambrosie, the outgoing the outgoing commissioner of the CFL? Or is it going to be a new, fresh thinking, good commissioner who used to play in the league and gets the league, which is something I thought Randy would do? I'd give Randy a 5 out of 10. Initially, I was going to give him an 8 out of 10 when he first broke into the league, but it slowly went down. 5 out of 10. So let's get me a commissioner. That's what I want to see. NHL tonight, we've got Edmonton at St. Louis, Sens at the Bolts. Sens have won 5 straight. Leafs at Flames, Avs at Canucks, no Quinn Hughes out again, Canadians at the Sharks. Ryan Hartman gets a 10-game suspension for whacking Tim Stutzla's head into the ground, to the ice in that game in Ottawa, so he's out 10 games. WHL, Wenatchee at Moose Jaw, Melford at Yorkton. In the SJHL, Flin Flon and Nipawin and the Battlefords at Notre Dame, weather permitting, because we are supposed to get storms in the area. And I wanted to quickly check this out too. I saw a brief story here about NHL ratings, and they aren't doing too well on ESPN. Yeah, so check this out. Viewership struggling. According to Braylon Breeze of Sports Media Watch, last Thursday's game between the Sharks and Seattle Kraken averaged just 175,000 viewers on ESPN, the lowest viewed program on ESPN for the entire day. Now, it was a late start, but come on. No word if a repeat of a dog show beat them out. Also, some other games last week, Philadelphia, New Jersey game, which would be in primetime viewing on TNT, averaged 253,000 viewers, which was actually a 59% increase versus last year's comparable window. Later that night, TNT and True TV averaged a paltry 138,000 viewers for Penguins Utah Hockey Club game. So the salary cap may be on the rise over the next couple of years, but the ratings aren't following that. So very, very interesting. And everybody poo-poos the CFL. CFL, their worst games don't get 138,000 on TSN. Anyway, that is going to do it for my time here. We will have another installment coming up very shortly as I'm trying to nail down some guests. And if you haven't subscribed, go to the YouTube page, Ballsy Uncut, and subscribe. You'll never miss an episode. We're also on Facebook and X. I've got an Instagram account at @Ballsy Uncut handle. I do appreciate you checking it out. Please spread the word so we can promote the likes of Jackson Findlay and talk to a true legend in John Ryan in Saskatchewan football circles. Jacob sent in a message saying John Ryan should be the president of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think that would be a major upgrade, in my opinion. A major upgrade. The Riders do need some help in a couple of areas. And John Ryan, that's exactly the kind of guy they need. That would be a Jim Hobson 2.0, but that chair's taken now, so that is a moot point. Anyway, a reminder to watch for his Pickles movie on his Portland Pickles baseball team on the MLB Network. It airs in Regina, 1 p.m. on February the 13th. And yeah, let me know, hit me up, DM me, or comment here if you would like an Our Balls Are Bigger shirt. I think I'm going to sell them now. I haven't determined. Maybe $20 a shirt, $25 a shirt, and all money raised going to Glenn Love in his ALS battle, the former CFL linebacker who was on the last episode. You can check out that interview. It's going to do it for my time. We'll talk to you soon.